Is my kid gifted? This is one of the most searched questions on Google. And I get it. As a mom, as parents, I get it. When we see that our children are being labeled as gifted, we feel a sense of pride and we feel excited about this potential incredible future in front of our children because of their smartness. I totally get it. However, there is something about giftedness that most parents do not know. And that is exactly what we are going to discuss in today's video. Because do you know the label, when a kid is being labeled as gifted, this label of giftedness may actually hurt their long-term confidence, motivation, and success. In this video, I will share with you 3 reasons why we should stop using the gifted label so that we can actually help our children, teenagers, and young adults become more confident, more motivated, more resilient, and be able to achieve long-term success. Today's training is going to be a combination of research and my personal story. So the research I'm going to share with you is from this book, and this book is actually written by an incredible mathematics professor from Stanford University. So solid and credible research and personal stories are mostly from me as a result of working with a number of gifted young people in my coaching program. So I will use some of my personal stories to elaborate on the 3 points you are about to learn. I'm really excited about this topic. Again, I want to mention a disclaimer. This is not to say that, I'm not anti, if your kid is smart, celebrate your kid. But understanding the 3 potential dangers can really help you have smart and strategic communication with your children. And once you finish watching this training, you will understand what I mean. Okay? So who am I to discuss this topic? If we haven't met yet, hello, my name is Dr. AI, and I'm a former award-winning college professor turned life coach. I specialize in helping teenagers and young adults, helping them overcome a few major life challenges, such as no confidence, no motivation, procrastination, self-doubt, self-insecurity, fear of failure. I help them reclaim and elevate their confidence and motivation. I also help young people gain a sense of clarity regarding their future so that they can have a purpose-driven life. And I have been working with young people for more than 2 decades and served more than 2,500 young people, helping them overcome major life challenges so that they can actualize their goals, dreams, and aspirations. My work has been featured in TED Talk, Glamour Magazine, LinkedIn, Adobe, Forbes, Insider Higher Education, Pearson Education, and many other places. So let's get started with today's topic. And so here, let me move this a little bit closer. So 3 reasons why we need to stop calling our kid gifted. Okay, so let's get started with the very first reason. The first reason is that the label of being gifted is actually creates and perpetuates this fixed brain myth. And so I have 2 specific reasons to support this. And so because brain is actually not fixed, and our brain has so much potential, like personality is not permanent. The way that our brain is not permanent. We have so much potential to rewire our brain, to change our personality. Nothing is permanent if you are willing to do the work. But with young people, if they are being called gifted, so this creates a binary thinking. And so the example I use here this is what I hear from students all the time. Math is not for me. History is not for me. Public speaking is not for me. So because someone is being labeled as gifted, so if they are not being labeled as gifted, they will say and create a story or perception, hey, Lisa, look, this is not for me because I'm not gifted. But that is actually inaccurate. So this type of labeling, gifted, actually stops lots of young people from actually giving this a try, going all in to actually unleash their potential. They give up before they haven't tried this yet. because of this label. Either this is for me or not for me. They cannot see the gray area. Like, how about I give this a try? Maybe I'm having a hard time. Maybe I just need to try harder, stay with problems longer. Therefore, I can really handle this. So that is the first reason. And so here, and really powerful. So in this book, let me share this with you. So here, this book I shared with you earlier. So there's an entire chapter. You can see the title here, the problems of giftedness. Okay, so in this chapter and lots of research. So one research really caught my attention. So at Stanford University, they interviewed a group of college students who have been labeled as gifted. So they did interviews with those young people. And one student, he or she actually mentioned, and this is an original quote from the student mentioned that if I grew up in a world, if no one was labeled as gifted, pay attention to this next part, really good. I would have asked a lot more questions. Wow, that makes me feel really, really sad. Right? Because of this binary thinking. If I'm gifted, I'm not supposed to ask any questions. If I'm gifted, I'm not supposed to have any questions. So can you see now how this type of thinking, this type of labeling, I'm gifted or I'm not gifted, is actually hurting a young person's potential? Because one thing I know for sure, as being in education for more than 20 years, working with young people, our young people's ability to be curious, to be inquisitive, to actually ask questions is a future-ready skill. Test-taking, memorization is absolutely being disrupted by AI and technology. ChatGPT is doing the memorization, technology is doing the test-taking. But being inquisitive, being curious, and asking questions, those skills will never ever be disrupted because of AI. And in fact, I want to argue, because of AI, our ability to ask good questions is actually becoming more important than ever. So can you imagine a young person, if for a long time, if they believe, oh wow, I'm so gifted, therefore I shouldn't ask any questions. This is going to destroy a young person's future, right? So this is really relevant to you if you have a high potential kid or maybe even a gifted young person at home. So you need to engage in conversations with them because, like, for example, a big part of my coaching program is to really help a young person working on their mindset. So if they have this mindset, I'm gifted, therefore I should ask questions, someone has to help them shift that mindset. Otherwise, this label of being gifted is going to destroy their confidence, motivation, and unfortunately, future. So that is the first reason. And the second, this label of being gifted is actually going to minimize the importance of effort. Minimize the importance of effort. So it is mentioned in this book, and also through the conversations I shared with you earlier, I had a great honor to work with lots of young people who are actually gifted. I'm actually working with a few right now. This is something I hear from them all the time. They really have this perception or belief that giftedness is like an innate skill to them. So it's almost like a fixed amount, right? It's like when you look at your bank account, how much money do you have? When you look at your height, your weight, like how much, like a specific number. So many of those young people who are being labeled as gifted, they have this perception that their giftedness is a fixed amount. And one day they are going to use up their giftedness. And this is why for many students who are being labeled as gifted, they will actually have lots of challenges and struggles by the time they enter high school and college because they feel like, wow, because the course content is actually getting harder, but they don't understand, they don't see that as the course is getting harder, but they see that as, wow, I'm finally using up my giftedness. I'm no longer gifted. And therefore they give up. They never understand it is actually about effort, right? So you are watching this video right now, I assume you are a parent. So when you reflect on your life journey, on everything you have accomplished, let me know in the comment section. Is it for all of the things you have accomplished? Is it because of giftedness or because of effort? And I feel pretty certain 99% of you, your answer is going to be hard work, gifted. And actually, I have some quotes that I want to share with you. I have two quotes that I want to share with you. Both of them are from Albert Einstein, who is considered a genius in humanity. So let me share those two quotes with you. So this is the first quote from Albert Einstein. He said that I have no special okay, this is hard for me to read. So he said that I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. Right? He said that I'm not that smart. I'm just very curious. Actually, this quote responds to this. If your kid is practicing this binary thinking, I'm either smart or I'm not smart. If I'm gifted, I should ask questions. They will never reach their full potential, right? So Albert Einstein said, I'm actually not that smart. I'm actually just very curious. A sign of being curious is actually asking questions. So can you see now how this label is literally shutting down our children from being curious, from becoming incredible people like Albert Einstein, from actually being inquisitive, from being curious? So the second quote I want to share with you is that here, it is not that I'm so smart, just that I stay with problems longer, right? So this is a perfect illustration. It's not about my talentedness, my giftedness, it's about my effort. So when I coach the young people in my coaching program, many of them, especially nowadays with the social media technology, so many young people are so used to that instant gratification, feeling good about life, feeling good about themselves. So many of them give up. Almost like as soon as they start, they give up. As soon as something is getting harder, they give up. And so I really love this quote, which is what I use with my students all the time. So the question I ask the students in my coaching program is that, are you staying with your problems longer? Right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Like, can you stay with those challenges a little bit longer, maybe a day, a few days? And that is a demonstration of effort, not necessarily a demonstration of giftedness. In fact, the more you believe this giftedness as an innate capacity, the more likely you are going to quit. You do not want to stay with the problems longer because you feel like, wow, I'm not gifted at this, or I have used up my giftedness. So the final point I want to make regarding this is that geniuses are made, not born, right? And this is something, especially if you have a really smart, very gifted, high potential kid, they need to understand the importance of effort over giftedness. And this naturally transitions to my third last point. And if you are enjoying this, let me know in the comment section. The last reason, the more a kid believes in or buys into this identity that I'm gifted, and the more they actually avoid challenges, struggles, and setbacks in life. In other words, the label of being gifted actually makes a young person more likely to avoid struggles. And again, this is actually, I had a coaching call today and yesterday with two students. Both of them are very gifted. And so they shared this with me. And so if you are used to this identity of being called gifted, so when you do struggle, so either you completely avoid challenging tasks. Actually, in this book, one of the studies, the author mentioned is that lots of gifted students, when they are presented with like different levels of challenges and tasks based on difficulties, and for the kids who are labeled as gifted, they are actually intentionally avoiding harder tasks because they do not want to lose their giftedness identity. To me, that is very dangerous. So they are intentionally playing small so that they can protect this identity. Can you see now at this point of this training how this label, being smart, being gifted is actually hurting our children? And So either they completely avoid struggles, or when they actually cannot run away from struggles or challenges, rejections, setbacks in life, when they are in the middle of one, they will feel like this is so devastating to them. They literally do not know how to handle. So many of my students, they will feel like, I feel so stupid. I feel like a dumb. I have an identity crisis. Those are not my words, but the language my students use when they are in a challenging situation. Because for such a long time, they can rely on their giftedness to overcome so many challenges in life, like schoolwork, for example. They don't even have to actually put in any effort because their smartness can help them do the homework, even though they do not. And so they actually never struggled to finish anything because they're so gifted, they're so smart. It is good in the short term. Wow, this is so easy. I don't even have to struggle. On the other hand, because they never struggle, so they never build that muscle or resilience to handle challenges and struggles in life. So the very first challenge, now they are in high school, they are in college, maybe in relationships, job markets, internships. Maybe that is the very first time they actually have to put in some effort. They actually have to struggle a little bit to achieve the results. But because they have never been prepared, they have never been trained to handle challenges in life, they don't know. They literally freak out. It is such a devastating experience to those young people. They feel like, wow, maybe I should just give up. After all, I'm no longer gifted. I use up my giftedness, right? So I have a story to share with you. And so in my coaching call today and yesterday, both of the kids, they're like, I feel so stupid because they have to struggle. I'm like, no, so you have to shift their mindset. It's not that you are stupid. You just never learn to invest in effort. So I will give you an example. So me, I'm definitely not smart. I never attended any giftedness program. I'm not smart, but I do work very hard. So when I was young, like a primary school student, and I saw other kids, they were so smart, they don't have to study. Do you know someone like that? They don't even have to study. They can get a full mark. But me, I studied. I'm like, okay, maybe I got an 85 out of 100, whatever. And so I really had to work very, very hard. So at the time, I felt like really like, I was like, oh, maybe I'm just stupid. But you know what? Because I wasn't gifted, so I really had to learn and develop powerful and effective study habits, like taking notes, asking questions, go to office hours, and study and reading, memorization. I have to develop a number of skills and study habits to really help me survive school and do a good job at school because I was not gifted, right? But because of that, I actually had the good fortune to actually develop those good skills. And even when I was a graduate school student, when I was doing my master's degree, when I was doing my PhD, that I was able to utilize the skills that I developed when I was a primary school student because I wasn't labeled as gifted. So I really had to rely on effort and struggle. So I created my own system. So I built my tolerance for discomfort. I built my tolerance for struggle. I built my resilience. So it is not a foreign concept to me that I have to actually work hard to achieve the results. It is not a foreign concept to me that I have to maybe struggle a little bit in order to get what I want. But for the students who are so used to like this gifted identity, like I don't know how to struggle. I don't want to struggle. So they will literally avoid struggles, or when they are in a challenging situation, they freak out. And this is where you really need to get them the help they need, a coach, someone like me, or support, or you, whatever they do to really help them understand life. It's not about how smart you are, but really about how much effort and consistent effort, perseverance, that is so much more important than this label of giftedness. Because gifted or being gifted can only carry you so far, definitely not lifelong. And the last point I want to mention regarding this concept is that so much research, actually, this book talks about this, and I'm looking at And the books behind me, I'm looking at so many books I have read. Almost all of the books talk about the benefits of struggling and challenges in life. And actually, a young person's brain grows the most when they are going through a challenging situation. In other words, struggles actually facilitate and accelerate brain growth, and also struggles build very powerful characters. And to really elaborate this, I'm not going to spend lots of time, but this is a model that I discussed in this video here, and I give you guys a very detailed explanation regarding this model. So this is called the 4 levels of learning, and I'm just going to mention the point that is relevant to today's discussion. But if you want to watch this entire model, let me say this is really my favorite learning model. If you can really understand this model, your parenting journey will be so much easier. And you can absolutely accelerate your children's, I'm talking about teenagers, young adults, their confidence and motivation 10x, okay? So there are 4 levels of learning. The lowest level is called unconsciously incompetence, meaning that you don't know what you don't know. And level 2 is called consciously incompetent. You know you're pretty bad at this, right? So think about something new that you're trying to learn. And if this is the first time that you are learning this, you're not going to be good at it. And level 3 is consciously competence. You know you are good at this. So here's the thing. As a learner transitions from being bad at something to being good at something, from being incompetent to becoming competent, level 2 and 3, this is where a learner will have to go through frustration, confusion, mistakes, and struggles and challenges. So it's not about giftedness. It doesn't matter how gifted you are or your kid is, how much potential, how smart they are. If they are learning something new, they have to go through this. They have to experience frustration, confusion, struggles, mistakes. It is normal so that they can achieve mastery. And in fact, research has shown in order for us to achieve mastery, we need 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, right? And so this is goes back again. If you want to check out the video is here. So sorry, I have a lot here. So that's the last point, right? So understand, normalize struggle is a necessary part on the learning journey, and it is a natural pathway to mastery. And also struggle is when our brain is actually growing the most, and also helps us build characters. But again, if the label of being gifted is stopping your kid from taking up challenges in life, getting him or herself involved in challenges, risks, and outside there, I'm not talking about the crazy risks, okay? But like public speaking, running for leaders, political leaders, like club leaders, starting a business, like if their label of being gifted is stopping them from tapping into new opportunities, situations that can be potentially challenging, that is going to hurt their long-term confidence, motivation, and success. And so in fact, the label is supposed to accelerate their growth. But in fact, if they really buy into that label, it is going to slow down their long-term success. Okay, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. And again, and let me know which points make sense to you and which one of the points resonated the most with you. And at each level, I really help. This is really how I coach the students at the 3 levels so that they can have a normal relationship with failures and not so fixated on this label, right? And actually embody a growth mindset. So if you are interested in having your kid work with me one-on-one regarding some of those type of challenges or procrastination, fear of failure, so in the description box, there's a link that you can use to apply to book a complimentary consultation with me. It is a one-on-one conversation with me, and I will be personally reviewing your application. If your application is approved, you and I will have a Zoom call regarding your children's specific challenges. challenges, okay? And also, I'm very excited to share with you. Right now, I'm doing a 5-day free one-on-one challenge with me. It has been absolutely amazing. Quite a few families have completed a 5-day challenge with me, and this is really the first time that I'm offering this. So on day one, you and I meet, we introduce each other, and you will tell me a specific challenge facing your teenager or young adult kid. So your kid has to be at least 14 years old ish in order for you to qualify to apply to do the 5-day. I do not work with super young kid because as you can see, it is can be a little bit complex. I will need them to be able to engage with me at a cognitive level, okay? So if your kid is around like 14, 15 years old and above to as old as 30, you can apply. And so you will tell me a little bit about the challenges facing your kid, and then on day 2, 3, and 4, and I will actually give you specific training content based on the challenge facing your kid. Maybe I will share with you some of the comments I received so far from the families who have completed the 5-day one-on-one challenge with me. This is absolutely not a forever offer. I'm only offering this for a short period of time. So if you, at the time of the recording, this is still free. So in the description box, if you are interested in doing this with me, so click on that link and register. Okay, so I hope to see you very soon on Zoom. And last but not least, you should definitely check out this video, and that goes a lot deeper to understand the 4 stages of learning, why it is actually not good. It's not a bad thing that our kid is actually struggling a little bit. And so you'll really understand the benefits of going through challenging situations can really help them build their characters and resilience. Okay. And thank you so much for watching this video. And I look forward to seeing you again in another video. Comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Bye.